Hello, and welcome to Transition to Kindergarten, Preschool to Kindergarten, presented by Progressive Community Services, the Family Navigation Department. I'll be the one hosting today, and my name is LeAndra Buford. I'm a former ESOL tutor with the St. Joseph School District. I'm a family navigator here at PCS. I'm a wife and mom to 4 kiddos, and also a parent of a child with a disability. And this is myself and my daughter, Evie. And this is Pam Schneeflock. She's one of our other family navigators here. She worked for Merrill Impact. Like I said, she's a family navigator here with PCS, a wife and mom of 2, and also a parent of a child with a disability. As always, our core belief is all people and their families have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. All right, so today we're going to be talking about moving on up. Traditionally, this time of year, our big school-bound preschoolers and their families would be getting ready for a pre-K graduation day. However, we're going to be looking at a different kind of transition. Transitioning to kindergarten is looking a little different this year for our kiddos. Due to COVID-19, our preschoolers who are ready to move on to kindergarten do not get to say bye to their friends, goodbye to their preschool friends, and have their preschool graduation or say goodbye to their teacher. Kindergarten screening and roundup is also going to be different this year for kids and their families. And over here on this slide, you'll see some parent information. I copied this from the St. Joseph School District's website, and it says, due to the school closure for the remainder of 2019-20 school year, parent information meetings will be held in August. The date is to be determined. We strongly encourage you to attend these meetings at your home school. In the meantime, we ask parents of incoming students to complete this form as a first step for us to get to know you and your child. During the parent information night, parents will be able to schedule an enrollment appointment. For those unable to attend the parent information night, an enrollment appointment must be made directly with the child's school before the start of the upcoming school year. This information and that form can be found on the St. Joseph's School District's website. Typically this time of year, you would be able to go to your kindergarten screenings and then also, go to your child's new school they'll be going to in the fall. Again, like we've talked about, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be a little delayed. However, welcome to kindergarten. It can be a time to plan. Although things may be different and not our normal, we can still plan for the future. Our kids will return back to school and your preschooler will become a kindergartner this fall. Now is a great opportunity to be thinking of what that may look like. So then when we talk about preschool versus kindergarten, what are we looking at? It's easy to walk past a kindergarten and preschool classroom and wonder if there's any difference between the two. Good early childhood education curricula focus heavily on play, exploration, fostering a love of learning, while preschool serves as an introduction to school, playing with others, and listening to the rules. Kindergarten is more structured and generally takes a more direct approach to learning and meeting educational milestones. In other words, it's a little more academic than preschool. And here's some examples of what you might see. Here's maybe what your preschool classroom would look like. And then, let's go over. You've got a listening center, you've got literacy or math blocks, pocket chart. And then this is what a kindergarten classroom, an example of a kindergarten classroom. Very similar. Looks like they have a literacy center, also maybe some centers for play. And then right here, this is also something to think about, transition information. When your child is 1 year away from becoming eligible for school-age services, the IEP must include a transition plan that details steps to prepare your child for school-age services, including activities to help him or her adjust to a new setting. The plan should include how and when information will be shared between the current preschool service provider and the school district, which will offer services the following school year. It will also include a transition meeting between the preschool, school district, and family. I'm not sure how those transition meetings are looking right now, but there should be one to help you know, to kind of look at your early childhood IEP and then and kind of a bridge, or like we said, transition to what those services might look like in the kindergarten or should look like in kindergarten. Okay. Do you know your child's IEP? If you haven't already now, if you haven't already, excuse me, now is the time to familiarize yourself with what is in the IEP. So your child, if they are in preschool and they currently have an early childhood IEP, take a look at that. What kind of OT, PT, speech, what other accommodations, modifications, services that they're looking at in that early childhood IEP. And then when you do get to go to kindergarten, or if you have the opportunity to maybe Zoom with your current or with your child's new kindergarten teacher, when you find out who that may be, or whenever the meeting or the opportunity does come up to visit your child's school, here are some questions that you might ask. What's the class size? More than likely, the kindergarten class is probably going to be bigger than their preschool class. Do they have pull-out services versus push-in? Individualized services such as speech, OT, vision versus group services? Individual services versus just a consult with a therapist and teachers? Self-contained classroom or regular education? Pull out into a small setting for some subjects. If a one-to-one is necessary, whether it be behaviors or health needs, behavior plan and what that will look like in the new setting, socialization and making friends. Is the playground even accessible for your child? Specials and what they will look like for your child. And then here it's continued. Any specialty programs such as ABA, and who will implement it in the new setting? Transportation. If you have transportation needs, you can ask those and how that'll be addressed. How does your child best learn? Does your child need medication during the day? Eating, does your child have feeding or allergy issues? Not only do you want to talk to your kindergarten teacher, but if your child does have medications during the day or allergy issues, make a point to go and speak with a school nurse. They need to know all that. Get to know your school nurse. What are some ways to kind of help us keep this information organized and basically to communicate things? Well, this is an example of our one-page profile. And I just put, who am I at the top? This can be this is a resource and a tool that you can use to kind of help keep you. I know for me, I'm a planner and I think about it, but I do better if it's written down. This is a great tool to help communicate certain things to your classroom teacher. Also, as we get into this, I'll explain, this is something I would share with anybody within the school that you want to know about your child and things that you think that they should know. For example, I assumed that when I communicated stuff with my child's principal and classroom teacher, it would be communicated to the librarian, the gym teacher, the art teacher, the music teacher. But that wasn't the case. And they would say, well, LeAndra, we didn't know this, or do you know Evie's doing this? And I'm like, well, I already explained that to the classroom teacher. If I had these tools when my daughter started kindergarten, I could have made a point to reach out to each of those teachers and they could have had a copy of this. And I think it really would have been a great tool for the teacher, and it would have, it just kind of gives them a heads up. I think it's a great opportunity to give that information and a great way to present it. So let's take a look at it. In the integrated service and support star, I have my daughter. And then around the star, we'll start it would be the right, relationship based. This tells who she's close to, who she has relationship with, like her family, of course, her friend, her best friend is PJ, especially if your child is going to go to school with, some of their preschool friends. Let the teacher know that if they're in the same class, they were really close. They were best friends. I think it's good. They need to know that. Siblings, if they have siblings, we're very close with our church family. This just kind of lets them know who is in their sphere of who they're close to. Then you move down here to eligibility specific. I should have put more on here because she used to receive OT and PT services and ESOL, English for Speakers of Other Languages. These are any services that your child would qualify for. Like I said, my daughter, she received speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and also ESOL. And then if you keep moving on around the star, community-based. At this time, Evie was involved in dance, of course, school, and lots of church activities. This is really good. I think sometimes we even with like our coworkers, or when we know somebody inside of a certain office or environment, we don't think about, hey, they may do other things outside of this. This shows that, oh, she's involved in other activities. She has other interests. I really think that's good, and it kind of gives a big picture of that person as a whole. Her technology, her iPad, computer, phone, TV, if there's certain apps that your child likes, you can put those on there. Then if we move over to the other side of the page, where it says Evie's one-page profile, it says, I'm happy. So what do people like and admire about me? My daughter is the happiest little girl. She just is. And she just kind of goes with the flow. And she's very helpful. She enjoys helping. She's the first one to say, I'll do it, I'll help. And she's a good friend. She always thinks of others. These are great, qualities that I wanted to communicate with her teacher. You can go more in depth if you want. I start kind of broad, but everybody's different. What's important to me is then the orange bubble down below, her family, her friends, and school. She does love school. How to best support me. Be patient with me. For example, like she has a little bit of slower processing. Yes, you may have to say something more than once. And that's just who she is. So patience is something that needs to be exercised with her. And I put that, explain things more than once. And use visuals explaining certain things. When she first started kindergarten, she had limited English. And so her vocabulary wasn't that of probably a kindergartner who had been immersed in the English language from birth until 5, 6. And so a picture, along with what that, the word that is associated with that picture, was a huge help for her. And here's another tool. It's our trajectory worksheet. As you can see, we have the arrow going up to your vision for a good life, and then the arrow at the bottom and what you don't want. I love the trajectory. It can be used for a short-term goal. It can be used for a long-term goal. It's however you want to use it. The way that I used it here, I used it in talking about like what I would think I would want for her classroom, her class, what it would look like for her to be in her kindergarten class. Sometimes it is easier to state what you don't want because you know pretty much what you don't want, and that can help us and guide us to what we do. So what we knew that we didn't want is too many pull-out services so she didn't have the opportunity to be in her classroom alongside her classmates. And of course, on that dotted line, pull-out services instead of integrated into the classroom routines. So then for looking what we did want, we wanted inclusion in classroom activities and opportunities to make friends and interact with her classmates. Well, what are some ways to get to that? OT and PT services incorporated into the classroom activities, not segregated from my class setting, sitting alongside my peers while accommodating my needs. For example, instead of just having her seat up by the teacher, is there a table with her peers that is closest to the teacher so she can still be sitting with her peers, but still be closer enough to the board so she can hear, so she can see, so accommodating those needs that she had. In the class for center times, kindergarten is big on centers. They have the kitchen center, they have the block center. And during this time, this is where kindergartners build relationships. They learn conflict resolution. Again, we know that children learn a lot through play. This is really important, and this is important to help foster relationships for your child. So easing into transition with planning, that's what all of this is about. Life can be hectic and transitions can be hard, especially now with much of the uncertainty we have faced. However, planning can help with that uncertainty and even help give us a level of normalcy by looking to meaningful events such as going to kindergarten. Your toolkit, that is what these Charting the LifeCourse resources are. Your STAR, your one-page profile, your trajectory. And we hope that this has given you some practical tools to help with the upcoming transition for you and your family. You can find these tools on, if you go to chartingthelifecourse.com, and they will be under the resources, and you can click those and print those out. If you need help filling those out, please contact us, and we will be happy to go over them with you. Questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Family Navigation Team here at Progressive Community Services, myself, Pam, also Colette Cox. We are still working. We may not be in the office, but we can still take your phone calls and emails. We would be happy to help you in any way that we can. And thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll leave you with this quote: look closely at the present you are constructing. It should look like the future you are dreaming. Thanks again, and have a good day.